You did it! Congratulations!
Nobody in the Hargrove Tower lobby expected the man on the 34th floor to stop a board meeting cold. But the moment Daniel Hargrove looked through the glass partition and saw the woman on her knees scrubbing his floor, he forgot every word on the agenda. Daniel had built Hargrove Capital from a single desk and a borrowed laptop. Now his name was on the building. His signature moved markets. His calendar was managed by 3 people. He didn't notice cleaning staff. He'd train himself not to. But he noticed her. She moved carefully, the way people move when they're trying to disappear. Head down. Shoulders folded inward. Her clothes were clean but wrong for the weather, a thin jacket over a uniform that didn't fit. Her hair was pinned back with the kind of clip you find at the bottom of a bag you haven't emptied in years. Then she reached up to wipe the window, and the sleeve of her jacket slid back. Daniel's coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. On her left hand, catching the pale winter light from the 34th floor, was a ring. Not a cheap band. A cushion-cut diamond in a platinum setting. The kind that cost more than most people's cars. The kind Daniel recognized because he'd once spent 3 weeks choosing one exactly like it. His board chair, Raymond Place, cleared his throat from across the table. Daniel. The Meridian acquisition. We were saying. Who hired her? Daniel asked quietly. Raymond blinked. I'm sorry? The woman cleaning my office. Daniel set down his cup. Who brought her in? The cleaning agency was called Sunrise Contract Services. Daniel's assistant, Priya, had the file on his desk in 11 minutes. Intake form. Photo ID. Emergency contact listed as none. Name. Sophia Merritt. Daniel read it twice. His jaw tightened the way it did when a number didn't add up. He knew that name. Not from a contract. Not from a competitor's board. From a different life. The one he'd lived before the building had his name on it. When he was 26 and broke and so certain love was enough to hold 2 people together. Sophia Merritt had been Sophia Hargrove for 3 years. He found her in the supply closet at the end of the corridor, refilling a mop bucket with the focused stillness of someone who had learned to take up as little space as possible. Up close, the changes in her face hit him like a closed fist. The hollows under her eyes. The careful way she held her shoulders, like something had broken there and healed wrong. Sophia. She went rigid. The mop handle rattled against the metal shelf. Slowly she turned. And when her eyes found his, what crossed her face wasn't relief or anger or even surprise. It was pure, quiet dread. Mr. Hargrove, she said. Flat. Professional. Like they were strangers. Don't, he said. I need this job. Her voice didn't shake, but it was close. Please. I'm not causing any trouble. I'll request a different floor if... How long? He asked. She looked at the floor. 7 months. 7 months you've been... He stopped himself. Looked at her hands again. At the ring. You're still wearing it. Her right hand moved instinctively to cover her left. Too late. That's none of your business, she said softly. Sophia. His voice dropped. Where have you been living? The silence that followed was the longest answer she could have given him. Daniel didn't go back to the board meeting. He made one call to his head of security, a former investigator named Cal Briggs, and kept his voice level while the city hummed 40 stories below. Sophia Merritt. Everything from the last 2 years. Where she's been, what she's been dealing with, who she's been dealing with. And Cal, he paused. If something scared her into this, I want to know what it was. Cal called back in 40 minutes. Daniel listened without speaking for most of it. Sophia had walked away from their divorce settlement. All of it. She'd refused the apartment, the accounts, the legal entitlements, everything Daniel's lawyers had arranged. She'd left with her personal belongings and a duffel bag and told her attorney she didn't want anything that belonged to the life she was leaving. What Daniel hadn't known, what no one had told him, was why. Cal's voice was careful, the way experienced men get when the news is bad. She got to visit Daniel 2 weeks before the divorce was finalized. A man named Gerald Voss. He ran operations for Tilden Group back when they were trying to absorb your company. Daniel's hand tightened on the phone. He told her that if she stayed married to you, They'd fabricate evidence of financial fraud. Wire transfers, offshore accounts, all in your name. Said they had people inside the regulatory body who'd make sure it stuck. Cal exhaled. She asked what they wanted. They said they wanted her gone. That a divorce would destabilize you enough for them to move in on the acquisition. Daniel's voice came out barely above a breath. She left to protect the company. She left to protect you, Cal said. The company was secondary. The divorce had gone through. Tilden Group had made their move, and Daniel had fought them off, furiously and alone, assuming Sophia's departure had been one more betrayal in a year full of them. He'd won. He always won. He just hadn't known what it cost her. She refused the settlement because she thought it would look suspicious, Cal continued. Like she'd profited from the arrangement. She's been scrubbing floors, Daniel. She pawned the earrings from your first anniversary to cover 3 months of storage fees on what's left of her belongings. She's been in a shelter on Arlen Street since November. Daniel closed his eyes. The ring on her finger. 7 months of wearing it. Not because she was waiting for him. He didn't let himself believe that yet. But because some things you don't put down even when they're heavy, even when putting them down would be the smarter, softer choice. He opened his eyes. Find out everything Foss has touched. Every document, every contact, every favor, he called in. Already pulling it, Cal said. And Cal. Daniel's voice went very quiet. Get me Gerald Foss's employer. He went back to the supply closet. Sophia was gone. A mop leaned against the wall where she'd stood. Daniel took the elevator down to the lobby, walked out onto the pavement, and found her sitting on a concrete planter near the building's side entrance, jacket pulled tight, eating half a sandwich like she was rationing it. She looked up when she heard him. Her expression went careful again. That wall going up. I'm not here to fire you, he said. Then what? He sat down next to her on the concrete. She stiffened. I know about Gerald Foss, Daniel said. The sandwich dropped from her fingers. I know what he threatened. I know what you gave up. He looked at his hands. I know you've been here. In this city. 7 months, Sophia. 7 months, and you never. You'd built something, she whispered fiercely. Everything you worked for. I wasn't going to let them use me to take it from you. They almost did anyway. But they didn't. Her chin lifted. You fought them off. I watched the news. I knew you would. Daniel turned to look at her. Really look. At the jacket that wasn't warm enough. At the careful rationing of a half sandwich. At the ring that had stayed on her finger through all of it. Why are you still wearing it? He asked. Sophia pressed her lips together. For a moment she looked like she might build the wall back up, brick by careful brick. Then something in her face gave way, like a door opening on a hinge that hadn't moved in a long time. Because I never stopped, she said. And that was all she said. But it was enough. Gerald Foss was arrested on a Thursday morning. No press conference, no spectacle, just 2 federal agents and a case file that Cal Briggs had helped construct from 2 weeks of careful, methodical work. Wire fraud. Conspiracy to commit extortion. Coercion of a private individual. The kind of charges that land hard and stick. Tilden Group's board issued a statement by afternoon. By evening, their stock was in free fall. Daniel didn't watch it happen. He was in a different part of the city entirely. The shelter on Arlen Street was smaller than he'd imagined. A converted community hall, fluorescent lights, rows of cots separated by thin curtains. A woman at the front desk looked up when Daniel walked in and recognized him immediately, the kind of recognition that comes with an instinct to ask what someone like him was doing somewhere like this. I'm here for someone, he said simply. With her permission. Sophia was sitting on the edge of a cot at the far end of the room when he found her, folding the same thin jacket she'd worn all week. She looked up. She'd been expecting him, he could tell. She just hadn't decided yet what she was going to say. It's done, Daniel said. Foss is in custody. The case is filed. You don't have to hide anymore. Sophia looked at the jacket in her hands. I wasn't hiding, she said quietly. I was just trying not to make things worse. He crossed the room and sat down across from her, forearms on his knees, close enough that she'd have to make a choice to pull away. I spent 2 years being angry at you, he said. I thought you left because you stopped believing in us. I built a whole story around it. Told myself it made me harder. Better. His jaw worked. I wasted 2 years being wrong about the person I know better than anyone. Sophia's eyes glistened. She blinked fast. I'm not asking for everything back, he said. I know that's not how it works. But I'm asking for a chance to, he stopped. Reorganized. You protected me when I didn't know I needed it. Let me return the favor. Starting tonight. She looked at him for a long time. At the man who still, despite all of it, sat with his hands open instead of closed. Then she reached out and placed her hand in his. The ring caught the fluorescent light. Starting tonight, she said. 3 months later, the Hargrove Foundation launched its first initiative, Transitional Housing for Women Leaving Crisis Situations. 12 units to start, with a waiting list that filled in 4 days. Daniel never put his name on the building. He put hers. Sophia House. Clean lines, warm lighting, a front door that opened from the inside and the outside both. At the ribbon cutting, a reporter asked Daniel what inspired it. He looked at Sophia beside him, her hand in his, the ring still on her finger. Someone taught me, he said, that the strongest thing a person can do is sacrifice quietly for someone they love, without asking for credit. He paused. I'm just trying to catch up. Don't judge a person's position by the place you find them. Sometimes the woman on her knees scrubbing a floor made a choice that cost her everything for someone who didn't even know they needed saving. Have you ever misjudged someone until the truth changed everything? Share your story in the comments. And if this moved you, subscribe, because these are the stories worth telling.